In March 2009, the stock market was on fire, not the good kind of fire, the everyone's retirement just got cut in half kind. Lehman Brothers had collapsed. Headlines were screaming about the worst crisis since the Great Depression. People were genuinely scared. And right in the middle of all that panic, a schoolteacher named Margaret did something her friends thought was completely insane. She took $50,000 she'd saved for a house, her actual house money, and dumped it all into a plain S&P 500 index fund, the whole thing, while the world was on fire. Her family begged her to wait. Her friends thought she'd lost it. Today, that $50,000 is worth around $590,000. She didn't pick magic stocks. She didn't have insider secrets. She didn't perfectly time anything. She just recognized something most people miss. Sometimes the scariest moment is the opportunity. And here's why I'm telling you this, because most people don't realize we're sitting in another one of those moments right now. Not a crash this time. Something weirder. And honestly, way bigger. The number is $124 trillion. That's not a typo. That's not me adding zeros for fun. $124 trillion is about to change hands over the next couple of decades, and most people have no idea it's happening. I'm Max. I have no face, no job, and a deep emotional relationship with large numbers. Today we're talking about the single biggest movement of money in human history, why everyone keeps comparing it to the events that minted millions of millionaires, and because I'm Max and I refuse to hype you, the honest truth about what it actually means for you. Spoiler, it's less of a winning lottery ticket and more of a quiet door. Let's finish her story because it explains everything. The market didn't just recover from that 2009 low, it launched into the longest bull market in American history. From that bottom through early 2026, the market rose over 900%. The index recently crossed 7,000 points for the first time ever. $100 invested at the very bottom turned into roughly 1,000. But here's the part that matters. The people who got rich from that weren't Wall Street wolves in suits. They were teachers, nurses, accountants, regular people who just kept investing through their 401ks and IRAs while everyone else panicked and sat on the sidelines. And the numbers are genuinely wild. In 2010, the US had about 8.4 million millionaire households. By the end of 2024, nearly 24 million. The country added over 15 million new millionaire households in about 14 years. That's like the entire population of the New York metro area quietly crossing the $1 million line. In 2024 alone, the U.S. added around 379,000 new millionaires. That's more than 1,000 new millionaires every single day. And most of them didn't do anything flashy. No startup sale, no crypto moonshot. They just owned assets in a rising market and waited. Presence and patience. That's the boring secret, and it's about to matter again because of this $124 trillion thing. Okay, the big number. Here's what's actually going on in plain English. There's a generation, the baby boomers, who, through decades of economic growth, rising home prices, and a roaring stock market, ended up holding an absolutely staggering amount of wealth. Right now, boomers and older generations control most of the money in the country. We're talking tens of trillions of dollars concentrated in one generation. And here's the unavoidable, slightly morbid reality. That generation is aging. The oldest boomers are pushing 80. The youngest are turning 62. Over the next couple of decades, all of that accumulated wealth has to go somewhere. To their kids, their grandkids, their spouses, and charities. According to research from Cerulli Associates, the firm that actually crunched this, about $124 trillion is set to change hands through 2048. Around $105 trillion of that flows to heirs, and roughly $18 trillion goes to charity. It's the largest transfer of wealth in recorded history. Nothing comes close. Let me try to make $124 trillion feel real, because your brain literally cannot picture it. It's more than the entire yearly economic output of every country on Earth combined. For another angle, the entire COVID relief effort, all of it, was about $5 trillion. This wealth transfer is roughly 25 times that flowing through the economy over 2 decades. It is, frankly, a number that breaks the part of your brain that handles numbers. Now, the fun question? Where does it go? Cerulli's breakdown is pretty specific. Gen X is set to inherit around $39 trillion. Millennials get the biggest slice, about $46 trillion. And Gen Z starts catching meaningful inheritances as this rolls through the 2030s and 2040s. There's also a step most coverage skips. A huge chunk first passes sideways. About $54 trillion goes to surviving spouses before it ever reaches the kids. And strikingly, nearly $40 trillion of that is projected to go to widowed women, which quietly makes women some of the biggest controllers of wealth in the coming decades. That's a genuinely massive shift nobody talks about. Timing-wise, Gen X, the forgotten generation stuck between aging parents and growing kids, is actually first in line over the next decade, which could rescue a lot of retirement plans that currently look shaky. Millennials wait a bit longer but get the bigger eventual haul, landing right as many hit their peak earning years. And here's where I have to be the honest stickman, because this is exactly the point where those breathless position yourself for the wealth transfer videos start selling you a course. Let's be real for a second. If your family doesn't have generational wealth sitting in a boomer's brokerage account, you're probably not personally inheriting a slice of this $124 trillion. A huge portion of it, over half, is concentrated in the wealthiest 2% of households. This is not a check that shows up in everyone's mailbox. The headlines make it sound like free money is raining on the whole country, and that's the hype I promised I wouldn't sell you. So if it's not a personal windfall for most people, why should you care at all? Because, and this is the part that's genuinely useful, that $124 trillion doesn't sit still. When that much money changes hands, it doesn't vanish. It gets invested. It gets spent. It pours into businesses, real estate, and the stock market. All that capital sloshing through the economy tends to lift asset prices and fuel growth. The same broad rising tide that quietly made those 15 million regular people millionaires after 2009. In other words, you don't need to inherit the wealth transfer to benefit from the economy. It helps power. You just have to be holding the boring scoop when the tide comes in. Remember the index fund video? Same lesson. You don't have to be rich already. You just have to be present. People love comparing this to 2009, and there's a real parallel in it, but also a key difference, so let me give you both. The parallel. In 2009, the opportunity was hiding in plain sight. The information was public. Anybody with a brokerage account could see the market was on sale. But most people didn't act because fear froze them. Today, the wealth transfer data is also completely public. It's in research reports anyone can read, and most people still won't act this time because of distraction and short-term thinking. In both cases, the secret was never secret. People just didn't move. The difference, and this is important, 2009 had a bottom, a single dramatic moment to buy. The wealth transfer has no bottom to time. It's a slow, 25-year process that's already underway right now. There's no perfect entry day to wait for, which actually kills the most common excuse. I'll start when the timing's right. There is no magic moment, there's just starting or not. No hype, just the genuinely sensible moves, and you'll notice they're things we've already talked about because the fundamentals never change. 1. Max out your tax-advantaged accounts, your 401k, your IRA, and HSA if you qualify. These let your money compound without the tax drag. For 2026, the 401k contribution limit is $23,500 with an extra $7,500 catch-up if you're 50 or older. This is the single most direct way regular people capture a rising economy. 2. Own the whole market through low-cost index funds. Don't try to guess which sector wins from all this money moving around. Own the scoop. Broad exposure means you participate in the overall growth automatically. 3. Extend your time horizon. This is a decades-long thing, not a get-rich-by-spring thing. Think in 10 and 20-year stretches. Short-term market noise matters almost nothing here. 4, and this one's underrated, consider the skills angle. When $124 trillion moves, entire industries balloon to handle it. Financial planning, estate work, tax advice, real estate. The share of younger clients at wealth firms jumped from 8% in 2021 to 25% by 2024. There are careers riding this wave, not just inheritances. If you want to benefit and you're not inheriting a dime, building a skill that serves money in motion is a real overlooked path. 5. If your family does have wealth, actually talk about it. Awkward, yes. But proper estate planning is the difference between a smooth transfer and a chunk of it evaporating in taxes and chaos. A single conversation now beats a mess later. So let's land this. The biggest wealth transfer in human history is happening, slowly, right now. $124 trillion is moving over 25 years. It will fuel the economy, support asset prices, and create opportunity. And exactly the kind of rising tide that has quietly minted millions of ordinary millionaires before. That part is real, it's documented, and it's not hype. What is hype? Is anyone telling you free money is coming to your door? For most of us, the move isn't to wait for an inheritance. It's to do the unglamorous thing that's always worked. Own a little of everything, keep adding to it, and let time and a growing economy do the heavy lifting. Margaret didn't get rich by being chosen. She got rich by showing up while everyone else was frozen. So here's your move. Today, pick one of those 5 steps. Open the retirement account, set up the auto invest, or just go read one article about the wealth transfer so you actually understand it, and do that one thing. Then come back and comment which step you picked, so I know you didn't just doom scroll past it. And if Max turned a terrifying, impossible number into something that actually makes sense, subscribe, because the financial world is going to keep throwing giant, scary headlines at you, and I'll keep translating them from panic into plain English. Because the truth is, the people who win these moments were never the smartest or the richest in the room. They were just the ones who showed up and stayed, and now you know to show up.